Hey lash friends, struggling with lash retention? Unlock the secrets to longer lasting lashes with my new ebook. Are you a lash artist who wants to improve your lash retention and boost client satisfaction? Then say goodbye to premature lash shedding and hello to flawless, long-lasting extensions. My carefully crafted ebook, Mastering Lash Retention, is packed with proven techniques, tips, and insider knowledge to help you perfect your craft. What will you learn? The science behind lash retention and how to make extensions last longer, common retention mistakes and how to avoid them, product recommendations for optimal results, best practices for preparing your clients' lashes, how to create a retention-friendly environment, and much, much more. This guide is perfect for lash artists at every level who are serious about delivering consistent, high-quality results. You ask, why this ebook and what makes it different from other ebooks? First of all, it's easy to follow step-by-step instructions. I give you pro-level strategies used by the lash industry's top lash artists, and it's designed to help you increase client loyalty and grow your business. So I ask, are you ready to take your lash game to the next level? And I'm sure the answer is yes, because you're listening to this podcast. So go ahead and download Mastering Lash Retention today and start seeing the difference in your clients' results and watch your business grow. Your clients will thank you and your business will thrive. The download link is in the show notes below. Hey Lash friends, welcome back to another episode of Lash Biz 101, the podcast that helps you build, grow, and thrive in your lash business with clarity and confidence. I'm your host, Erica Wilson, lash educator, advisor, and your biggest cheerleader when it comes to creating a business that supports your dream lifestyle. Now, before we jump into the episode, I wanted to try something different. Usually I would read from a script. The reason I do this is because I have this tendency of rambling on and I would never finish the episode. So reading from the script helps to edit me and keep me focused. But I wanted to try something new this time and, at the top of the podcast and just kind of, just talk about just things, life, in general. So not necessarily the lash business. And just wanted again to be a little bit more personable. And let's just see how this goes. If this is something that you guys feel like, okay, I do like that switch up, that change up, then it's something that I think I would continue doing. But if I listen back to the podcast over and over again, and it's just like, yeah, it just doesn't fit in with the podcast, I'll go back to the original format. But again, the reason I wanted to switch up is because we as lash artists, we have a tendency to just get straight to business. I don't know if that's just something that is naturally ingrained in us, or we just feel like we always just got to be, on all the time. So wanted to do something a little bit more personal. This is the week after Thanksgiving week. Had a great Thanksgiving and for the first time ever, took advantage of Black Friday. I am not a Black Friday person because I do not like shopping in crowded areas. I just feel like it's too busy, and it's just too much going on. And me, I'm the type of person where I like to go to a more intimate setting when I'm shopping for clothes where it's just not a whole lot going on. But in any case, there is a Galleria in my area, in the DC area. It's called Tyson's Corner. So Tyson's Corner 1, which is like the bigger mall that has like all of the shops, H&M, Victoria's Secrets, Zara, all of that. And then there is Tyson's 2, which is the Galleria. That's my spot where they have, like Neiman Marcus, things of that nature. So more of the higher end thing, and it's not so crowded. So, yeah, so we went and we got there at about 8:30 in the morning and found absolutely nothing. So that was my first time doing it, and I said that will be my last time doing it. I saw these shoes on Neiman Marcus's website and thought that I would go there for Black Friday. Get there, they only had like a size 9 left, and I'm a size 7. Kind of bummed out about that, but it's what it is. But in any case, it gave me and my fiance, just something to do, an outing to do, because we do love hanging out together. That's, we love to just hang out together. Um, so yeah, so Thanksgiving, typically what we do is the Saturday before Thanksgiving, we would spend Thanksgiving with my family. And then on Thanksgiving Day, my family spend time with their significant other's family on Thanksgiving Day. So we kind of split it like that. And we've been doing it that way for years. But this Thanksgiving, me and my fiance, we actually just sat home. We usually go to his family's house, but we sat home and he cooked everything. I don't cook, I fix. And if you don't understand the difference between cooking and fixing, I'll save that for another episode. So he cooked everything. We did like what's called a young chicken instead of an actual turkey. He did macaroni and cheese and some stuffing and, stuff like some potatoes. I mean, it was really, really good. So that was, to me, probably one of my best Thanksgivings, because we had on our matching pajamas and we ate. And yeah, so that was fun to do. So, and we just had a cool, Thanksgiving week. Very, very nice Thanksgiving week. And guess what? All I could think about was recording this podcast. Again, it's just so hard to pull away from business. I'm thinking about, okay, I got to record the podcast. What am I going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? So, so just to let you in on my, last week of my, personal life, and to just, share some things with you. For those that are listening, want to know how your Thanksgiving was. If you want to drop it in the podcast show notes or the podcast comments. If you're on Apple, if you're listening on Spotify, if you're listening on YouTube, drop it in the comments and let's see how I want to know how you and your family, celebrate Thanksgiving and what you guys do. And also, if you're a Black Friday shopper, let me know, because I'm curious to know how that works for you. And if there's any strategies, because like I said, I can't stand to be in crowded places, even like concerts. I don't do arenas. I would go to a small, intimate setting where, we have dinner and we're listening to some, live band music or something like that, or that artist, where it's more intimate. That's me. I guess that's why I do lashes, because it's an intimate environment. But in any case, yeah. So let me know how your Thanksgiving went, and if you do Black Friday, let me know what you do for Black Friday. So let's go ahead and move on to the podcast. In today's episode, we're diving into a topic that I wish someone had explained to me when I first started lashing. And that's how to factor in your time when pricing your services. Because here's the truth. Your time is one of your most valuable assets as a lash artist. Yet, so many of us forget to include it when setting our prices. Now, by the end of this episode, you'll have a clear understanding of how to price based on time, how to protect your schedule, and how to feel confident charging what your time is truly worth. So grab your hot coffee, your cold coffee, get comfortable, and let's talk lash business. Be right back. Welcome to Lash Biz 101. My name is Erica Wilson, and I am your lash bestie that talks everything lash business. Whether you're a seasoned lash artist or new to the lash industry, we all strive for one thing: to run a thriving and successful lash business. I help you think about things you may have overlooked or chose to put on the back burner. I'm that little voice in your head to help push your business in the right direction and to that next level. We could all use a little help and advice, and I'm hoping this is where you can find it. Remember, this is a safe space for everyone. I speak from my heart, and I try to motivate and encourage everyone who's listening. Before we get started, I want to say thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. All right, let's get started. All right. Okay. So welcome back. So, as I said, we're going to talk about factoring in your time. And I want to start with, why does your time matter so much? Your time matters so much because time is something you can never get back. You can restock supplies, gain new clients, or learn new skills. But once your time is gone, it's gone. And as lash artists, we spend a lot of time behind the chair, carefully isolating lashes, perfecting placement, cleaning tools, prepping our space, responding to DMs and texts, doing consults. It's all part of the service. Yet, most new lash artists only think about product costs when setting their prices. They'll say something like, okay, my supplies cost $10 per set, so I'll just charge $70. But what about your 2 or 3 hours of labor, your expertise, the years of practice it took to perfect your skills? That's where factoring in your time becomes powerful. When you start seeing your hours as a limited resource, something that has real value, you'll naturally start to make smarter business decisions. You'll stop saying yes to clients who don't respect your time, and you'll start to set better boundaries, and you'll start feeling more confident and in control, charging what you deserve. Now, let's talk about how to price based on that time that we're talking about. So let's go ahead and get into the numbers. The simplest way to factor in your time is by setting an hourly rate. And I am so glad I'm doing this episode because I get so many emails and DMs regarding, how do I set my prices? And do I do it just based on, you know, uh, who's other lash artists that are close to me, and just, do it based off of competition rates? Or do I do an hourly rate? You know, and if I do an hourly rate, how do I do that? Well, I'm going to tell you here. So think about how much you want to earn per hour, and don't think about what just sounds good, but what feels fair and sustainable for the life you're in business. How, are you going to sustain your life and your lash business? So, for example, let's say you want to make at least $50 an hour. If a classic set takes you 2 hours, that means it should be priced at a minimum of, $100, right? And if a volume set takes you 3 hours, it should be around, $150 or more. And that doesn't even include your overhead, things like rent, supplies, taxes, or continuing education. So maybe your true hourly goal is closer to $60 or $70 an hour. And that's okay. That's business. You have to factor in all of that, your inventory, everything. The key is to make sure your prices are aligned with your time, skill level, and the experience you provide. So if you're looking at your surrounding competitors in your area, and let's just say you Google and you see that ABC Lashes is, they're about 15 minutes away from you, 10 minutes away from you, 5 minutes away from you, whatever. They're the closest to you. And you see that for classics, they're setting their classic set at $150. They may have been lashing for about 10 years, and you've only been lashing for about 6 months. You really can't kind of gauge that, right? Because when you go onto their website, you want to kind of get a feel for who you're, comparing yourself to. But then you see, if you scroll down a little bit more on Google, and you see that there's another lash person that's close to you, and their classic set starts at 95, 100, 105. And you go into their website and you see they've been lashing for about a year or two. That's who you want to kind of compete with, because you've only been lashing for nearly as long as they have. So be careful of how you, again, start that hourly rate. You have to be very conscious of your decision, when you make that decision. So here's a quick exercise you can do this week. Number one, write down each lash service that you offer. Number two, next to each one, note how long it typically takes from start to finish. This includes your cleanup, your prep. So from start to finish, that's what that means. Then number three, multiply that time by your target hourly rate. So if you're going to say, I think I'm going to start at $50 an hour, and make sure it's justified, that's what you want to multiply that by. And then that will be your true baseline price. Then ask yourself, am I currently charging that much? If not, it might be time to slowly raise your rates to reflect the true value of your time. Okay, so kind of, if you need to rewind this part back, kind of rewind that part back and, re-listen to it, because what I don't want, lash artists to do, especially new lash artists or just lash artists that's, kind of restructuring their business. I just don't want you to just throw prices onto your website or on, to social media, and it's not justifiable. If you're underselling yourself, you don't want to do that. But if you're overpricing yourself, you don't want to do that either. So be very, very careful. Hey, Lash Besties, I want to take a quick moment to share something with you, and then we'll get back to the podcast. I'm not sure where you are in your lash extensions business. Either you're a new lash artist or maybe you're seasoned. In any case, I want to help ensure your business is set up for success. Truly. You see, when I first started lashing 12 years ago, I thought just taking clients and doing lashes was all I needed to do in order to run a lash business. Boy, was I wrong, and I had to learn that the hard way. Back then, there was no one who offered tips or advice with what to do first and what direction to go in. I had no idea that I needed to register my business, get a business accountant, hire a business lawyer, get business insurance, have an ironclad intake waiver form, how to put together a business plan, so on and so forth. Well, I don't want you to be like I was with learning the hard way for years. It was so hard to bounce back from all the setbacks that I knew nothing about. That's why I decided that no one would need to ever experience that feeling I had. So I did something about it and wrote a book, The Lash Artist Guide to Success: How to Run Your Lash Extensions Business. This book is like a business coach in your hands. I give you everything very important for your business to be set up properly and to avoid any setbacks. I also give references, examples, tips, and much more to make it as easy as I can for you. So please, don't be like me. It took me years to get my business on track. Go to my website right now, lashbiz101.com/shop, or click the link in the show notes and get your book now. You won't regret it. You'll thank me later. And you're welcome. Now, let's get back to the podcast. So let's move on. So let's talk about the hidden time you're not charging for. And here is something most lash artists do forget about. You're not just spending time when a client is in your chair. You're spending time before and after each appointment as well. Think about it. You're prepping your space, cleaning your tools, setting up your lash trays, setting appointment reminders or follow-ups, updating your booking system, whatever the administrative part is to prepping and cleaning before and after your clients. This is what I'm talking about. All of that time adds up. If you take 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after each appointment, that's 30 minutes per client that you're not being paid for. Multiply that by several clients per day, and that's hours of unpaid work every week. you're leaving money on the table. And that's not what running a business is about. Okay. So when you set your prices, remember your service doesn't start when your client walks in the door. It starts when you start preparing for them. This is why that hourly rate concept is so powerful, because it helps to cover all those unseen hours too. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and keep moving on. Let's talk about protecting your time, meaning no shows and late cancellations. Let's talk about how that is one of the biggest time wasters in the lash industry. I'm talking about, like, that is the worst thing, is when you get a no show and a late cancellation. Is I think it's so rude. I think it is so ill mannered of clients not realizing this is how we eat. This is how we feed our babies. This is how we take care of our families, provide, the roof over our heads. And, they're just waking up like, you know what, I'm going to change my mind. I get my lashes done today. Like that. I think that is so rude. But, in any case, if you've been lashing for any amount of time, you've probably dealt with this. You've cleaned your tools, set up your room, maybe even said no to another client that really, really wanted that spot. So that way you can hold the spot for the client that is a no show or a cancellation. And then your client cancels last minute or doesn't even show up. I mean, like, you have no idea. Like, I have a slick mouth, but the fact that I have to restrain myself to not, say what I really want to say to my clients. But that's not just inconvenient, it's lost income. That's taking money off of your table, you know. So, this is why it is so important to have a no show and cancellation policy in place. So, here's what I recommend, because this is what I do. I require at least 24 to 48 hours notice for cancellations. When my clients, especially when I have new clients, when my clients fill out their intake form, it is written in bold. When it comes to me requiring 24 to 48 hours notice, and they have to initial next to it. I also verbalize that when I'm going through, again, this is with the new client, when I'm going through their consultation, I'm making them understand how important it is to be professional as a client, to respect my business, right? Another thing to do is charge a 50% fee for late cancellations or no shows. And make sure your policy is clearly stated on your booking page, in your confirmation emails, and on your digital receipts, because this is the age of, the digital everything. Okay. When, I don't know what booking site that you would use, but when your clients go to sign their name on that receipt and they get their receipt sent to their text or email, it should state that cancellation policy on there. You can place that on the receipt. So that way, when they sign that receipt, they're also signing that they understand your terms and conditions, your policies, and your booking procedures. Okay. So make sure you have all of that in place. When your clients know your boundaries ahead of time, they're much more likely to respect them. And trust me, it works. Now, I know I mentioned that when my clients do a no-show or late cancellation, that that may happen out of 365 days a year, may happen once, maybe twice, but once. And that's with a new client who just don't know. And then you have to kind of teach them. But I don't have it happen a lot. Very, very rare. I nip it in the bud as soon as possible. Okay. And here's the mindset shift. Enforcing these policies isn't mean, it's professional. It's what protects your time, your income, your business, and your peace of mind. So please implement the policies, your late cancellations and your no show policies. Okay. Let's move on to shifting from hustle to smart pricing. Okay. So here's the truth. Working more hours doesn't always mean making more money. It's not always true. You can fill your schedule with clients and still feel overworked and underpaid if you're not pricing based on your time. When you start charging appropriately for your hours, you can actually work less and earn more. You will definitely see the difference and feel the difference. That means more time for yourself, your family, or even your continued education, all without sacrificing your income. And sometimes you're even, when you do it that way by charging hourly, you're making a little more. So it feels better for your your mental, it feels better for your health, and it feels better for spending time with your family and for your pockets. Okay. And that's what building a sustainable lash business is all about. Okay. So let's wrap it up here. Today, we talked about how important it is to factor in your time when pricing your lash services. We covered how to set your hourly rate, how to calculate true service pricing, and how to protect your time with solid policies. Remember, your time is valuable. I'm going to say it again. Your time is valuable. Every hour you spend behind the chair represents your skill, your experience, and your dedication to your craft, and it should be respected. So stop underpricing yourself. Start valuing your time the way a true business owner does. If this episode spoke to you, take a quick screenshot, share it to your Instagram or TikTok story, and tag me at Lash Biz 101. I love seeing what you're working on and being your biggest cheerleader. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to Lash Biz 101 so you don't miss next week's episode. Next week, we're going to talk about package deals and memberships for your clients. And also, if you hadn't been on my website yet, lashbiz101.com, I have what is called Lash Artist Resource Library. And this library has different ebooks to meet you where you're at. So instead of just like one big thick book, even though I do have a book, but one big thick book, and you may not need to read the whole book because you're just, let's say for instance, you want to learn more about branding your business and how to get your branding set up correctly, you can download the ebook just for that. Or if you want to just focus on lash isolation, I have an ebook just for that. Or if you are a really new beginner lash artist and you need to know exactly how to set up your lash area, I have a ebook for that. I have so many ebooks in this resource library dedicated just for lash artists. So I want you to go ahead and run over to your website, lashbiz101.com, and check out my resource library. And the ebooks are very, very affordable. So it's nothing super pricey. I kept that in mind because, I do continued education as well. And when I go into some of these sites and it's like, wow, yeah, so I'm going to need to take out a payment plan, put this on Layaway in order for me to, continue my education. It's a bit discouraging, and it's like, wow, so I made it very, very affordable because I understand how continuing your education is in order to become a better lash artist and a thriving lash artist and to have a thriving business as a lash artist. So thanks for tuning in, my lash friends. And remember, keep building your dream. Well, you know what? Let me say it this way. Remember, keep building your dream lash business. How about that? One beautiful lash set at a time. Till next time. Bye.